Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES horizon, looking out at the endless stars. For 112 years, humanity had been sending messages into space, radio signals, digital transmissions, even physical probes carrying messages of peace and friendship. The silence that came back was always the same. Nothing. "Captain, we're approaching the edge of known space," said Commander Ryan Bell from his station. Ryan was a tall man with graying hair who had served in Earth's military for 20 years. He was good at his job, but Jake could see the doubt in his eyes. They all felt it. Dr. Lisa Carter looked up from her science station. She was younger than the other officers, but she knew more about alien life than anyone on Earth. At least, she knew the theories. "The probe data shows 3 star systems ahead that could support life," she said. "If we're going to find anyone out there, this is our best chance." Jake nodded. The UES Horizon was humanity's most advanced ship. It had taken 50 years to build and represented the best technology Earth could produce. The ship carried weapons, but they were mainly for protection against asteroids and space debris. No one really expected to need them for fighting. "Take us to the first system," Jake ordered. As the ship moved through space, Jake thought about why they were here. Earth's population was growing fast. Resources were running low. Humanity needed to expand to other worlds, but they also wanted friends among the stars. Every science fiction story and movie had taught them that space was full of other civilizations. Surely someone would answer their calls for contact. What Jake didn't know was that someone had been listening, far away, in a space station hidden behind a gas giant. Alien beings watched every move the Horizon made. Administrator Kethvar was not human. His species, the Zephyrians, looked like large reptiles that walked on 2 legs. They had scales instead, of skin and eyes that could see heat. Kethvar had been studying humans for 30 years and he did not like what he saw. "The humans are moving into Sector 7, reported his assistant, a being made of living crystal called a Vorth. "Should we make contact?" Kethvar made a sound that meant no in his language. "Humans are dangerous. Look at their history. They fight wars over everything. They destroy their own planet for resources. They kill their own kind for differences in skin color and beliefs. We must not let them know we exist." The Galactic Council had been watching Earth since humans first split the atom. 12 different alien species worked together in peace, sharing technology and resources. They had learned that some species were too violent to join their community. Humans, they decided long ago, were one of those species. The Zephyrians had technology that could destroy planets. The Vorth could live for thousands of years and had minds like computers. Other council species could travel between stars in days, create energy from nothing, and heal any disease. To them, humans were like children playing with dangerous toys. Back on the horizon, Dr. Carter was excited. Her instruments had detected something unusual in the second star system. "Captain, I'm reading artificial structures around the 4th planet. They're not natural formations." Jake felt his heart beat faster. "Are you sure?" "The patterns are too regular to be natural. Someone built these things." Ryan checked his weapon systems out of habit. "Should we be worried?" "We came here to make friends," Jake said. "Let's hope that's what we find." The horizon moved closer to the planet. Through their telescopes, they could see massive structures floating in space around a world covered in purple oceans. The buildings were beautiful, made of what looked like glass and metal twisted together in impossible shapes. "It's amazing," Lisa whispered. "A whole civilization." Jake opened a communication channel. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the United Earth Ship Horizon. We come in peace from the planet Earth. We seek friendship and knowledge. Please respond." They waited. Hours passed. Jake sent the message again, this time in different languages and with mathematical formulas to show they were intelligent. Still, nothing. "Maybe they don't understand us," Lisa suggested. "Or maybe they don't want to talk," Ryan said quietly. Unknown to them, their message was being received. The aliens living in those beautiful structures could understand every word. They had been studying human languages for decades, but their orders from the Galactic Council were clear. Ignore the humans. Another message from the primitive species, said the local commander, a being that looked like a walking tree with silver bark. The council says we must not respond. They seem peaceful enough, said one of his officers. So did the Korthak species, until we made contact with them. They destroyed 3 of our worlds before we stopped them. The council has decided humans are too dangerous. Jake waited for 3 days. He sent every type of message he could think of. Music, mathematics, pictures of Earth and its people. The response was always the same. Silence. They know we're here, Lisa said on the 3rd day. My scans show they're definitely looking at us. Their sensors are much more advanced than ours, they just don't want to talk. Jake felt a deep sadness. Humanity had dreamed of this moment for so long. First contact with another intelligent species. But instead of welcome, they found rejection. Maybe we're not ready, he said finally. Maybe we need to prove ourselves first. Ryan looked at the alien structures through the telescope. Or maybe they're afraid of us. Afraid of us? Lisa laughed. Look at what they've built. Their technology is hundreds of years ahead of ours. What could they possibly fear from us? If only they knew. In the hidden station, Kethvar was updating his report to the council. The humans continue to seek contact. Recommend continued isolation. Their aggressive nature makes them unsuitable for council membership. However, their persistence and technological development rate is concerning. Suggest increased monitoring. The council leader, an ancient being of pure energy, read the report with interest. How long before they become a real threat? Unknown. But their development speed is faster than any species we've studied. They went from basic flight to space travel in less than 70 years. At this rate, they could match our technology within centuries instead of millennia. Then we watch and wait. If they become too dangerous, we will act. Jake made the hardest decision of his career. Set course for Earth, he ordered. We're going home. As the Horizon left the system, Jake didn't know that his visit had started something that would change the galaxy forever. The aliens had noticed humanity, and they were starting to worry. The species they thought was too primitive to matter was developing faster than they had expected. The silence would not last much longer. 2 years had passed since the Horizon returned to Earth with news of the silent aliens. Humanity had not given up hope. They built more ships and sent them to different parts of space, always looking for someone who would talk to them. The new Amsterdam was one of these ships, but it was different from the others. Instead of exploring, it carried 50,000 people to a new world. Families with children, scientists, farmers, and engineers, all hoping to build a new life among the stars. Captain Maria Santos had been chosen to lead them because she was calm under pressure and cared deeply about the people in her care. We'll reach the new planet in 6 days, Maria told her crew during their morning meeting. The colonists are excited. Some of the children have never seen a real sky. The new Amsterdam was huge, more like a flying city than a spaceship. It had gardens where food grew, schools for the children, and workshops where people could work. Everyone on board had volunteered to leave Earth forever to help humanity spread across the galaxy. Dr. Tony Blake was the ship's chief engineer. He was a quiet man who loved solving problems with machines. All systems are running perfectly, he reported. The new engines are working better than we hoped. Maria smiled. Good. Let's make sure these people reach their new home safely. What Maria didn't know was that the new Amsterdam was being watched. The Skarn hegemony was a group of alien pirates who attacked ships and stole everything valuable. They were not part of the Galactic Council. In fact, the Council species looked down on the Skarn as criminals and savages. Warlord Grakthor commanded the Skarn attack fleet. He was a large creature with thick gray skin and 4 arms, each strong enough to crush a human skull. His species had been raiding ships for thousands of years, and they were very good at it. The human ship is big and slow, Grakthor told his captains. Their weapons are weak. We will take everything and kill the rest. What about the Galactic Council? Asked one of his officers. Will they care if we attack the humans? Grakthor laughed, a sound like grinding metal. The Council ignores the humans. They think humans are too primitive to matter. No one will come to help them. The Skarn attack came without warning. 3 warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel and immediately began firing on the New Amsterdam. The colony ship's shields failed within minutes. Mayday! Mayday! Maria broadcast on all frequencies. This is the colony ship New Amsterdam. We are under attack by unknown vessels. We have 50,000 civilians on board, including children. Please, anyone who can hear this, we need help. Tony Blake ran through the ship trying to keep the engines working as explosions shook the hull. Families huddled in their rooms, holding their children and praying for rescue that would not come. The Skarn ships were built for war. Their weapons cut through the New Amsterdam's hull like paper. Air rushed out into space. Emergency lights flashed red throughout the ship. "Captain," shouted the communications officer, "the attackers are demanding we surrender." Maria looked at her screens. Half her ship was already destroyed. Her people were dying, but she knew what surrender meant to pirates like these. "All hands, this is the captain. Prepare for emergency. Evacuation. Save as many as you can." But there weren't enough escape pods for 50,000 people. Most of the colonists would die, and Maria knew it. The UES Horizon was 3 light years away when they received Maria's distress call. Captain Jake Morrison felt his blood turn cold as he listened to the desperate message. "All stop," he ordered. "Ryan, how fast can we get to those coordinates?" Commander Ryan Bell worked frantically at his station. "If we push the engines past their limits, 18 hours. Do it." Jake turned to Dr. Lisa Carter. "Send a message to Earth. Tell them what's happening." Lisa's hands shook as she sent the emergency transmission. By the time it reached Earth, the New Amsterdam would be gone. 18 hours later, the Horizon arrived to find wreckage floating in space. The New Amsterdam was gone. 50,000 people, dead. The only thing left was the ship's emergency beacon, still broadcasting Maria's final message. "This is Captain Maria Santos of the New Amsterdam. If anyone receives this, know that we tried to live in peace. We came to the stars with hope, not hate. Remember us." Jake stared at the debris field, his hands clenched into fists. Lisa was crying. Even Ryan, who had seen combat before, looked sick. "Captain," said the sensor operator, "I'm detecting 3 ships at the edge of the system. They match the energy signatures from the attack." Jake looked at the 3 Skarn ships. They were probably searching the wreckage for anything valuable. The pirates thought they were safe. After all, what could 1 human ship do against 3 warships? They were about to find out. "Ryan, battle stations. All weapons online." "Sir, we're outnumbered 3 to 1. Their ships are bigger and better armed." "I don't care." Jake's voice was cold. "They murdered 50,000 innocent people. Children, Ryan. They killed children." The Horizon moved toward the Skarn ships like an angry shark. When the pirates saw them coming, they laughed. 1 small human ship against 3 battle cruisers? It would be over in minutes. Warlord Grakthor himself was on the lead ship. "Destroy the human vessel," he ordered. "Show them what happens when primitives challenge the Skarn." The battle that followed shocked everyone who witnessed it, including the hidden Galactic Council observers who were watching from a safe distance. Ryan Bell didn't fight like the aliens expected. He didn't try to match their firepower or outmaneuver their ships. Instead, he did something that had never been tried in space combat before. He rammed them. The Horizon flew straight at the first Skarn ship, firing everything it had. At the last second, Ryan spun the ship and used their strongest shield as a weapon. The impact destroyed the Skarn ship's weapons and crippled its engines. "1 down," Ryan said calmly. The second ship tried to retreat, but Ryan had studied the wreckage patterns from the New Amsterdam. He knew exactly where to hit to cause maximum damage. The Horizon's missiles found weak points in the alien hull that the designers never thought could be reached. The third ship, Grakthor's flagship, tried to surrender when they realized they were losing. Jake's response was broadcast across all frequencies. "You didn't let the children surrender." When the battle was over, 2 Skarn ships were destroyed and 1 was barely functional. Jake ordered his crew to board the damaged ship and capture any survivors. Warlord Grakthor was still alive. Barely. He looked up at Jake with eyes full of fear and confusion. "How?" he whispered. "Your technology is primitive. Your ships are weak." Jake looked down at the alien who had murdered 50,000 innocent people. "Our technology might be primitive, but we fight for something you'll never understand. We fight for our families." Dr. Carter's examination of the captured Skarn ship revealed something important. The pirates had detailed maps of human space, including the locations of other colony ships. They were planning more attacks. "How many more ships are out there?" Jake demanded of the surviving Skarn prisoners. At first, they refused to talk, but humans, it turned out, were very good at interrogation. They didn't use torture or violence. Instead, they used something the aliens had never experienced before: psychological pressure. Lisa Carter spoke to the prisoners about the children who had died. She showed them pictures of families that would never be reunited. She talked about dreams that would never come true. The Skarn were warriors, but they had never been forced to think about their victims as real people before. Within hours, they had told the humans everything: the location of the Skarn homeworld, their fleet strength, their plans for future attacks. Jake sent all of this information back to Earth with a simple message: "They started this war. We're going to finish it." Unknown to Jake, his message was intercepted by the Galactic Council monitoring stations. Administrator Kethvar read the transmission with growing alarm. "The humans fought 3 Skarn warships and won," he reported to the Council. "They used tactics we've never seen before, suicide attacks that somehow succeeded." The Council leader was silent for a long moment. "How many humans died in this battle?" "None. 0 casualties. They destroyed 2 ships and captured a 3rd. "Without losing a single person?" "Yes. And they've learned the location of the Skarn homeworld." The Council leader felt something they hadn't experienced in centuries: worry. What are they planning to do with this information? Kethvar's next words would haunt the Council for years to come. "I believe they're planning to attack the Skarn. Directly. Not to defend themselves, but to make sure this never happens again." The age of humanity's isolation was over. The galaxy was about to learn what humans did to those who hurt their families. The news of the New Amsterdam reached Earth like a thunderbolt. 50,000 dead, entire families wiped out, children who would never grow up. The planet mourned, but mourning quickly turned to anger. Admiral Kate Phillips stood before the United Earth Assembly. She was a woman who had spent her life preparing for war, though she had always hoped it would never come. Now, with the weight of humanity's rage behind her, she spoke words that would echo across the galaxy. "They think we're weak because we seek peace," she said. "They think we're primitive because our technology is young. They murdered our people because they believed no one would stop them. They were wrong." The Assembly voted unanimously. For the first time in human history, Earth would go to war with an alien species. But this would not be the kind of war the galaxy had ever seen before. Admiral Phillips was given command of every military ship humanity could build. The new human defense fleet grew from nothing to 200 vessels in 6 months. Every nation on Earth contributed. Old enemies worked together with a single purpose: make sure the Skarn never hurt another human. Dr. Tony Blake, who had survived the New Amsterdam attack, became the fleet's chief technology officer. The quiet engineer had changed after watching his friends die. Now he worked 20 hours a day developing new weapons and tactics. "The Skarn ships are powerful, but they fight like bullies," he explained to the other officers. "They expect their enemies to be afraid. They expect traditional space combat. We're going to give them something they've never seen before." Tony's innovations were simple but deadly. He developed ghost protocols, ways to hack into alien computer systems, using human thinking patterns. Where alien minds thought in straight lines, human minds made unexpected connections. "Their security systems can't understand how we think," Tony explained. "To them, we're completely unpredictable." Captain Alex Turner commanded the first ship to test these new systems. His vessel, the UES Reaper, looked like any other human warship. But inside, it carried technology that broke every rule of space combat the galaxy had ever known. The test came when they encountered a Skarn patrol near the edge of their territory. 3 ships against 1, just like the battle where the New Amsterdam was destroyed. But this time the humans were ready. Alex didn't announce himself. He didn't demand surrender. He simply activated Tony's ghost protocols and took control of the alien ship's own weapon systems. The Skarn crews watched in horror as their own guns turned on each other. Their computers, which had worked perfectly for thousands of years, suddenly began following human commands. "Impossible," whispered the Skarn captain as his ship's systems shut down one by one. "Their technology is centuries behind ours." Alex opened a communication channel. "You're right. Our technology is behind yours. But we're not fighting your technology. We're fighting you." Within minutes, all 3 Skarn ships were dead in space. Alex captured the crews and sent them back to their homeworld with a message: "Surrender now or we're coming for all of you." The Skarn response was exactly what humanity expected. Warlord Kragthan, the supreme leader of the hegemony, broadcasted his reply across the galaxy. "Humans are insects. We have crushed 1,000 species. We will crush you too." Admiral Phillips smiled when she heard this message. "Perfect. Now everyone will see what happens when you threaten human families." Operation Cleansing Fire began 3 months later. The human defense fleet didn't just attack the Skarn homeworld. They surrounded it completely. 200 ships formed a perfect sphere around the planet, making escape impossible. But the real shock came when the attack began. The humans didn't try to destroy the planet's defenses. Instead, they turned them into weapons against the planet itself. Dr. Rachel Ward, humanity's new chief xenotechnologist, had spent months studying captured Skarn technology. She was a young woman with a gift for understanding alien thinking patterns. What she discovered changed everything. "Every alien species we've encountered thinks the same way," she explained to Admiral Phillips. "They build their technology to work in perfect harmony. Everything connects to everything else. It makes them efficient, but it also makes them vulnerable." Rachel's team had developed viruses that could spread through alien computer networks like wildfire. But these weren't ordinary computer viruses. They were designed to think like humans, chaotic, unpredictable, and completely outside alien understanding. When the human fleet attacked, the Skarn homeworld's defenses didn't just fail. They turned against their creators. Orbital defense platforms began firing on the planet's surface. The planetary shield that was supposed to protect them started crushing their own cities. Ground-based General Chris Walker led the invasion force. He was a man who understood that war was ugly, but sometimes necessary. His troops didn't just fight the Skarn military. They used psychological warfare that broke the alien spirits before the fighting even began. "You killed our children," was broadcast on every Skarn communication channel. "Now we're here to make sure you never kill anyone's children again." Human soldiers fought differently than any species the Skarn had encountered. They didn't retreat when wounded. They didn't surrender when outnumbered. Most terrifying of all, they seemed to get stronger when their friends were hurt. Lieutenant Amy Ross led a squad that was trapped behind enemy lines for 3 days. Instead of hiding, they used the time to study Skarn tactics and technology. When rescue arrived, Amy's squad had captured an entire enemy base and was using their own weapons against them. "How?" asked the Skarn commander they had captured. Amy looked at the alien warrior who was twice her size and armed with technology she barely understood. "You made it personal when you killed our people." The battle for the Skarn homeworld lasted 6 days. Not because the humans were struggling, but because they wanted to be thorough. They didn't just want to win. They wanted to make sure the Skarn could never threaten anyone again. When it was over, the entire Skarn military was destroyed. Their fleet was captured or destroyed. Their leaders were prisoners. But Admiral Phillips wasn't finished. "We're not conquerors," she announced to the surviving Skarn population. "We don't want your planet or your resources. We want something much simpler. We want your promise that you will never again attack innocent people." The Skarn were confused. In their experience, the victor always enslaved or destroyed the defeated. But humans were offering something unprecedented: conditional mercy. Agree to our terms, and you can rebuild your civilization in peace. Refuse, and we'll make sure you never have the chance to hurt anyone again. The Skarn agreed. They had no choice. News of humanity's victory spread across the galaxy like wildfire. The species that had been ignored for over a century had just destroyed one of the most feared pirate fleets in known space. They had done it in 6 months, using tactics no one had ever seen before. In his hidden monitoring station, Administrator Kethvar watched the reports with growing terror. The Galactic Council had been wrong about everything. Humans weren't too primitive to matter. They were too dangerous to ignore. Send a priority message to the Council, he ordered his assistant. Recommend immediate contact with human leadership. The situation has changed. His assistant, the crystalline Vorth, hesitated. What should we tell them? Kethvar looked at the images of the destroyed Skarn fleet. Ships that had terrorized the galaxy for millennia, reduced to scrap metal in less than a week. Tell them we made a mistake. Tell them the humans aren't the species we thought they were. Tell them. He paused, struggling with words he had never expected to say. Tell them we should be afraid. Back on Earth, Admiral Phillips received reports from across human space. Other alien pirates and raiders were surrendering without a fight. Word had spread. Humans protected their own, and they had the power to back up their threats. But Phillips knew this was just the beginning. Humanity had announced itself to the galaxy in the most dramatic way possible. Now they needed to decide what kind of neighbors they wanted to be. The galaxy ignored us when we asked for friendship, she told her staff. Now they're paying attention. The question is, what are we going to do with that attention? Captain Jake Morrison, now promoted to Admiral of the Exploration Fleet, had a simple answer. We're going to make sure no one ever has to go through what the New Amsterdam families did. We're going to protect the innocent, whether they're human or not. The age of human isolation was over. The age of human protection was about to begin. The destruction of the Skarn hegemony sent shockwaves through the Galactic Council. For the first time in thousands of years, the 12 ruling species called an emergency session. Representatives from across the galaxy gathered to discuss what they now called the human problem. Council leader Zarion, a being of pure energy that had existed for over 10,000 years, addressed the assembly with words that carried the weight of ages. We have made an error in judgment that may cost us everything. The humans are not the primitive species we believed them to be. Administrator Kethvar stood before the council, his reptilian features showing fear that his species rarely expressed. The humans destroyed the Skarn in 6 months. A military force that we tolerated for centuries because they were useful for testing new species. The humans erased them from existence. High Christarch Venthara of the Vorth Collective resonated with harmonic frequencies that translated to disbelief. Their technology is still centuries behind ours. How is this possible? They don't fight like us, Kethvar explained. They don't follow the rules of civilized warfare. They use tactics that our military computers cannot predict because they make no logical sense. What the council didn't know was that Captain Alex Turner had just discovered something that would change everything. His ship, the UES Discovery, was exploring a system near the edge of council space when they found it. A monitoring station that had been watching Earth for decades. Captain, you need to see this, called Lieutenant Lisa Evans from her sensor station. She was young but sharp, with an eye for details that others missed. There's a structure hidden behind that moon. It's been there for a long time. Alex studied the readings. The station was clearly alien, but it was trying hard not to be noticed. Scan for life signs. I'm reading multiple alien species inside. And Captain, they have extensive files on Earth. Surveillance data going back over 50 years. Alex felt his blood run cold. Take us in. I want to know exactly what they've been watching. The boarding of the monitoring station was swift and efficient. The aliens inside, a mix of Zephyrians and Vorth, surrendered immediately when human soldiers appeared. They had been watching humanity's rise, but they had never expected humans to find them. Commander Ryan Bell, now leading the boarding party, found the station's databanks. What he discovered made him sick with rage. "Alex, you need to see this." The files were extensive. Detailed surveillance of human cities, military bases, and most damning of all, space traffic. The aliens had tracked every human ship, including the New Amsterdam. "They knew," Ryan said quietly. "They knew about the Skarn attack. They could have warned us." Alex read through the files with growing fury. The monitoring station had detected the Skarn fleet moving toward the New Amsterdam's route 3 days before the attack. They had the technology to stop it. Instead, they had simply watched 50,000 people die. But there was more. The files contained detailed invasion plans for Earth, analysis of human weaknesses, and recommendations for species management if humans ever became a threat. "Sir," said Sergeant Amy Ross, "we've found something else. A communication log. They've been reporting to something called the Galactic Council for decades." Alex transmitted everything back to Earth immediately. Within hours, President Nicole Hayes was addressing the United Earth government with evidence that would transform humanity's relationship with the galaxy forever. "They watched our people die," Nicole said, her voice carrying to every human settlement across space. "They had the power to save 50,000 innocent lives, and they chose to let them die because they thought we were too primitive to matter." The president's next words would be remembered for centuries. "They will answer for this." Humanity's response was swift and devastating, but not in the way the aliens expected. Instead of attacking Council worlds directly, humans targeted the infrastructure that held their civilization together. Admiral Jake Morrison, now commanding the Deep Strike Fleet, led the operation. His ships appeared throughout Council space, like ghosts, hitting trade routes, communication networks, and resource extraction facilities. "We're not trying to conquer them," Jake explained to his captains. "We're showing them what happens when civilization breaks down. They've lived in comfort for so long, they've forgotten what it's like to be afraid." Captain Steve Parker commanded the UES Phantom, one of the new stealth ships designed specifically for operations in alien space. His mission was to disable a major communication hub in the Zephyrian Empire. "Remember," he told his crew, "we're not here to kill civilians. We're here to send a message." The attack on the communication hub showed the aliens something they had never seen before. Humans could survive and operate in conditions that would kill most other species. Steve's crew wore protective suits that let them work in the toxic moor atmosphere of the Zephyrian facility. They completed their mission in 4 hours and left without harming a single alien. But the psychological impact was enormous. The Zephyrians, who considered themselves the most advanced military force in the galaxy, realized that humans could strike anywhere, any time. Dr. Elena Price, now leading the Xenotechnology Division, made another disturbing discovery while studying captured alien equipment. "Their entire civilization is built on the assumption that everyone thinks the same way they do," she reported to Admiral Phillips. "They've never had to deal with a species that approaches problems differently." This insight led to humanity's most effective tactic, the chaos strategy. Human fleets would appear in alien space and do things that made no sense to alien military doctrine. They would attack minor targets while ignoring major ones. They would retreat when winning and advance when outnumbered. Lieutenant Amy Ross, now a captain, perfected this approach during the Battle of Colthera Station. Faced with a Vorth defensive fleet that outnumbered her 3-1, she did something unprecedented. She offered to trade her captured alien prisoners for safe passage. "Impossible," said the Vorth commander. "You are in a hopeless situation. Why would we negotiate?" Amy's response became legendary. "Because you don't understand humans yet. We don't see hopeless situations. We see opportunities." Amy then proceeded to use the Vorth's own ethical programming against them. The crystalline beings were programmed never to harm prisoners of war. By constantly moving her captured aliens into the line of fire, Amy made it impossible for the Vorth to attack effectively. She escaped with her entire fleet intact, and the Vorth questioning everything they thought they knew about warfare, Meanwhile, the Galactic Council was falling apart. Species that had relied on Council protection for millennia were demanding answers. Why hadn't they been told about the humans? Why hadn't they been prepared for this threat? The humans are everywhere, reported Admiral Thylex of the Mentari Republic. Our shipping lanes are under constant attack. Our colonies are requesting military protection we cannot provide. How can one species cause so much chaos? High Christarch Venthara had the answer. Because they don't fight for territory or resources, they fight for revenge. And revenge doesn't follow logical patterns. The breaking point came when Captain Alex Turner discovered the Council's ultimate contingency plan. Hidden in the deepest files of the monitoring station was something called Protocol 7, a plan to destroy Earth if humans ever became a serious threat. The plan was detailed and thorough. Asteroids would be redirected to impact Earth's major cities. Biological weapons would be released to destroy human food crops. The entire human species would be wiped out in a matter of months. When this information reached Earth, President Hayes's response was simple and terrifying. They planned to commit genocide against our entire species. Every human in space now knows what we're really fighting for. The psychological impact on human forces was immediate. They weren't just fighting for justice anymore. They were fighting for survival. General Chris Walker, now commanding all ground operations, received reports that human soldiers were becoming more effective every day. It's like they're operating on a different level, reported Colonel Mike Chen. They're not afraid anymore. They know it's them or us. The Council finally attempted direct communication with Earth, sending Ambassador Quellen of the Diplomatic Corps to negotiate. But President Hayes's response showed how completely the situation had changed. You watched our children die when you could have saved them, she told the alien diplomat. You plan to murder our entire species. There will be no negotiation. There will be surrender, or there will be consequences. Ambassador Quellen had never encountered a species that refused to negotiate when facing superior numbers and technology. You cannot win against the combined might of 12 civilizations. President Hayes smiled, and it was not a pleasant expression. We already are winning. Your trade routes are closed. Your communication networks are failing. Your people are afraid to leave their homes. We're not trying to conquer you. We're showing you what it feels like to be helpless. As reports came in from across the galaxy, the Council realized the truth. They were losing a war they had never intended to start. The humans weren't conquering territory, but they were destroying the foundation of galactic civilization itself. And the most terrifying part was that humanity was just getting started. 2 years after humanity had declared war on the Galactic Council, the galaxy looked very different. The once mighty Council species now sent humble requests to Earth, asking for protection from the very pirates and raiders they had ignored for centuries. Admiral Kate Phillips stood in the command center of humanity's first orbital station above Earth, watching status reports from across human space. The transformation was remarkable. Where once there had been 12 dominant species ruling over hundreds of smaller ones, now there was Earth, and everyone else asking for help. Admiral, reported Captain Lisa Evans, we're receiving another request from the Zephyrian Empire. 3 of their outer colonies are under attack by the Korthak raiders. They're asking for immediate assistance. Kate studied the request. 6 months ago, the Zephyrians had been planning to destroy Earth. Now they were begging for human protection. Send the 7th Fleet. Tell Commander Bell to take his time getting there. The delay was intentional. Humanity had learned that being too quick to help made others take their protection for granted. Let the Zephyrians worry for a few days. It would remind them why they needed human help. General Chris Walker entered the command center, carrying reports from the Terran protection zones. These were areas of space where human fleets guaranteed safe passage to any species that recognized Earth's authority. The protection zones are working, Chris reported. Pirate attacks in protected space have dropped by 90%. Trade is flowing again. And the tribute? Kate asked. Coming in on schedule. The Vorth Collective just sent another shipment of their memory crystals. The Mantari are providing advanced medical technology. Even the proud Zarathi have started sharing their energy research. Kate nodded. The tribute system wasn't about wealth or resources. It was about acknowledgement. Every species that wanted human protection had to publicly admit that Earth was now the dominant power in the galaxy. But humanity's real strength wasn't in their weapons or their fleets. It was in something the aliens had never expected: their ability to make the galaxy work better than it ever had before. Dr. Elena Price had established the Human Integration Project, where alien species actually requested to learn human military and organizational tactics. What they discovered surprised everyone, including the humans themselves. The aliens are individually smarter than us, Elena explained to a gathering of human military officers. Their technology is more advanced, their lifespans are longer, and their knowledge is deeper. But they've never learned to work together the way humans do. Captain Alex Turner, now Admiral of the Rapid Response Fleet, had seen this firsthand during the siege of Kalthara. A Mentari colony was under attack by machine pirates when his fleet arrived. The local defense force was powerful but completely disorganized. Each ship was fighting its own battle, Alex reported. They had better weapons than the pirates, but they couldn't coordinate their attacks. It took us 10 minutes to show them how to fight as a unit. The battle was over in an hour. The Mentari were so impressed that they formally requested human military advisors. Within months, other species were making similar requests. But the real test of humanity's new position came when long-range sensors detected something that terrified even the humans: a massive fleet approaching from outside the galaxy. The message arrived at Earth 3 days before the fleet would reach inhabited space. It was broadcast on all frequencies, in a language that no species had ever heard before. We are the devourers. We consume all. We convert all. Resistance is futile. Surrender is death. President Nicole Hayes called an emergency session of what was now called the Galactic Assembly. Representatives from every known species gathered on Earth for the first time in galactic history. This threat is bigger than any of our old arguments, Nicole told the assembly. The devourers don't want to rule us or trade with us. They want to destroy everything we've built. High Christarch Venthara of the Vorth Collective resonated with frequencies that translated to desperation. Our analysis of their transmissions suggests a machine intelligence of vast power. They have consumed entire galaxies. Administrator Keth Var, now serving as liaison between the Council species and Earth, provided the tactical assessment. Their fleet numbers in the millions, ships the size of small moons, technology that makes our own look primitive. The assembly fell silent. Even with human leadership, how could they possibly fight something like that? Then Admiral Jake Morrison stood up. He was older now, graying, at the temples, but his eyes still held the determination that had carried humanity to the stars. With respect to our alien friends, Jake said, you're thinking about this wrong. You're looking at their numbers and their technology and feeling hopeless. But you know what I see? I see a machine intelligence that's never had to fight humans before. Jake's words sparked something in the assembly. He continued, machines think in patterns. They follow logic. They expect rational responses to their threats. Anyone want to guess how rational humans are when someone threatens their families? The plan that emerged from that meeting was audacious even by human standards. Instead of trying to match the Devourer's firepower, they would use humanity's greatest strength, their complete unpredictability. General Chris Walker would lead the largest military operation in galactic history. Every species contributed ships and technology, but the tactics were purely human. We're not going to fight them ship to ship, Chris explained to his mixed fleet of human and alien vessels. We're going to do what humans do best. We're going to break their rules. The Battle of the Outer Rim lasted for 17 days. The Devourers expected organized resistance that they could systematically destroy. Instead, they faced chaos. Human. Lead fleets appeared everywhere and nowhere. They would attack major Devourer ships with tiny fighters, then retreat when massive reinforcements arrived. They would ignore obvious strategic targets to hit seemingly unimportant support vessels. Captain Amy Ross, now leading her own task force, perfected the swarm strategy. Her ships would attack a Devourer vessel from all directions simultaneously, then scatter before the enemy could coordinate a response. "They can't understand us," she reported to command. "Their tactical computers keep trying to predict our next move, but we don't have a pattern. We're just making it up as we go along." But the real breakthrough came when Dr. Tony Blake figured out how to turn the Devourer's own coordination against them. The machine intelligence that controlled their fleet was incredibly advanced, but it had one weakness. It assumed all intelligence worked like it did. "They're all connected to a central network," Tony explained. "They share information instantly across their entire fleet. That makes them incredibly efficient, but it also makes them vulnerable." Tony's virus was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Instead of trying to destroy the Devourer network, it fed false information into it. Suddenly, Devourer ships were receiving contradictory orders, attacking their own allies and fleeing from battles they were winning. "The virus thinks like a human," Tony explained. "It's chaotic, unpredictable, and completely outside their understanding of how computer programs are supposed to work." The end came on the 17th day. The Devourer fleet, which had consumed galaxies, simply stopped functioning. Their ships drifted powerlessly in space as their central intelligence collapsed under the weight of trying to process human chaos. Admiral Morrison sent the final message to the Devourer remnants. "This is humanity. You picked the wrong galaxy to consume. Find somewhere else to feed." In the aftermath of the victory, the galaxy had to face a new reality. Humanity wasn't just another species among many. They were the species that had saved everyone else from extinction. The formal ceremony was held on Earth, in the same assembly hall where the war had been planned. President Hayes accepted the formal surrender of the Galactic Council and the pledges of loyalty from hundreds of species. But her speech that day showed why humanity had become the galaxy's leaders. "We didn't seek power over you. We sought friendship. When you refused that friendship, we demanded respect. When you threatened our existence, we showed you strength. Now together, we've proven that no force in the universe can stand against people who fight for each other." Admiral Morrison, now Fleet Admiral of all galactic forces, received a transmission that would define humanity's future role. It came from a distant galaxy, beyond even the Devourer's original home. "We have heard of the humans. They say you are the species that never surrenders. We are facing our own Devourers, our own extinction. We need your help." Morrison looked at the star charts, showing threats and civilizations beyond anything they had imagined. He activated the emergency beacon that would summon every human fleet in the galaxy. "All ships, this is Fleet Admiral Morrison. We have a new mission. There are people out there who need our help. And humans don't abandon people who need help." As human ships began jumping to faster-than-light travel, heading toward distant galaxies and unknown threats, Morrison reflected on how far they had come. A century ago, humanity had been alone and ignored. Now they were the guardians of not just their own galaxy, but protectors of the innocent everywhere. The species that had once begged for recognition was now the hope of the universe.